More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants, including the $155 Walmart Plus monthly membership credit and $240 flexible business credit. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Jesse Hernandez, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It is a real pleasure. You're joining us from San Antonio, Texas. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about small communication tweaks to help leaders expand their influence. There's a lot of things that leaders do, a lot of things that are important about what leaders do. And one of the things that will help leaders be more successful, perhaps more than anything else, is how they communicate. Written communication, oral communication, the unspoken communication that happens, body language, etc. Like all these types of things say a lot about a leader, and it impacts how others perceive you. It impacts the relationships that you develop with others, the trust that you build with other people, and all of that is going to have implications for the influence that you have. And ultimately, as a leader, I think influence is perhaps the most important currency that we have, because
running a business comes with a lot of what ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Perhaps back in the early days of the Industrial Revolution, and we're working in a factory and, things like that, perhaps in that kind of a framing of leadership and management, I could get away as a leader with kind of more carrot and stick, kind of autocratic, command control kind of leadership style. But in a knowledge economy where we need people to bring their whole creative selves to their work, and we need people to collaborate effectively and innovate, we need leaders who not wield carrots and sticks, but leaders who can pull out the best out of their people. And I can't force that. I can't motivate my people. I can only create an environment in which people are self-motivated. And I can wield influence. I can influence my team. And so communication is one of those tools to be able to do that effectively. So anyways, that's a long way of kind of introducing what we're going to be exploring together today. As we get started, I wanted to share Jesse's bio with everybody. Jesse Hernandez was born and raised on the south side of San Antonio. The landscape of his career ranges from grading ditches to counseling executives. This path taught him that we are more alike than we are different. His message is one of contribution, ownership, and vulnerability. This message is visible in his podcast, Learnings and Missteps, his book, Becoming the Promise You Are Intended to Be, and the live stream experience known as No BS with Jen and Jess. Jesse, anything you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in?
Oh man, first, thank you for the intro and like the synopsis of where this conversation is going to go, because I agree, especially on the influence part. Maybe a little more context is I started my working career back in 1995 out of high school as an apprentice plumber. And it was supposed to be a summer job, but it turned in, I was like, this is where I belong. I need to do this. And so I spent about 20 years on the trade side of the business, got my license and did plumbing for a long time, and management, middle management, all that. And so that's kind of the breadth of my experience, or the time I've spent on this rock that has then transformed into me hosting a podcast and doing live streams and running my own business. And I think it's important to share that so that people understand it, like the trajectory of where we want to go isn't a straight line.
Yeah.
And it's really like, how far do we want to go? I'm living proof.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I agree. I think most of us, the vast majority of us, have more of a zigzag approach in our personal growth and our career development and how we go about our careers. And sometimes I think that's framed as perhaps a failure or a waste of time or whatever. And I just don't see it that way. For one, how could it be if that's what the vast majority of people do? That's just life, but also I think there's just so much growth that happens through how we go through those learnings, the shifts in careers. I started out in construction myself. And I did factory work, I did construction work, and then now I'm a professor. So like and I changed my major like 5 times, and we're all on a journey of self-discovery. We're all at different life phases, different times, different places, different circumstances. There are going to be different things that resonate, or different opportunities that arise, and I think all of that's beautiful, and we lean into the opportunities. And so anyways, I appreciate you sharing your background and some of those shifts that you've gone through in your life. And I think that only illustrates what so many of us have experienced, at least to some extent. And ultimately, I think we should lean into that. It's totally okay. And the reality is most people are going to change jobs, even careers, so many times throughout their working life. And we're in a day and age, because of longevity, long lifespans and healthy lifespans that are continuing to increase. We've gone from working 30, 40-year careers to now we're talking, we're probably going to be working, the average person's going to be working 50, dare I say, we're going to get to 60-year careers. And, we can lament that or talk about the pros and cons of that all day long. But the reality is, that's going to be happening. And so do I want to be doing the same thing, 60 years
Right.
later that I was doing when I was a 20-year-old? Probably not.
Probably not.
Hopefully
Amen.
there's some growth that happens during that time.
Yes, yes. It's interesting. I was doing the math the other day. I was hanging out with some buddies that we've been friends since sixth grade.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, I've been in construction about 20 years. And they're like, Jesse, when did you stop? When did you leave the industry? I was like, never.
Mm.
And they're like, but you started right out of high school. I was like, yeah. It's like, it's more like 30 years, Jess. Oh, damn, you're right. Like 30 years. Now, to your point, I've been in the industry the entire time, but my path has changed dramatically. And what's super, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Early in my career, there was like a 3 to 5 year cycle, like a learning cycle in terms of whether there was a dramatic shift in my responsibilities or growth. And if I look back on the last 10 years, that 3 to 5 year cycle has tightened up. And it's down to like a 2 years to 18-month cycle where things are shifting more dramatically. Is that just me being like chasing squirrels?
I don't think so. I think that's absolutely right. And it obviously depends on the type of job, the type of work, the type of industry you're talking about. But I would say, yeah, generally speaking, I think it absolutely is tightened up. I think, I'm constantly telling my students, my job as a professor is to help you learn how to learn, help you learn how to develop skills,
Yes.
help you learn how to think, right? Because the reality is, like, when there's framework skills, ways to understand and learn perceive the world, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
But I also teach facts, I teach details, I teach, I'm an HR professor, so I teach about employment law, I teach about,
Yep.
The ins and outs of like current best practice in organizations, all that kind of stuff. Guess what? All those details, those are going to change. Like the life cycle of those types of things
Yes.
change so rapidly, and there's always new court cases that shift the employment law and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I tell my students, I'm like, this may you may not like it, but a lot of what I'm teaching you, like the details of what I'm teaching you, might be irrelevant in 5 years, maybe
Right.
in 2 years. But hopefully what's not irrelevant is you learning how to learn, you learning how to apply your learning into practical scenarios to develop skills. You're learning how to work in a team, you learning how to critically think, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like those types of things. And that's, I think, where I add value as a professor. That's where I think universities add value in preparing well-rounded individuals for society, for the communities, and for the workforce. Because you're right, the it's tightened up, and we churn through, things develop so rapidly, and especially in this day and age of disruptive technologies,
Oh yeah.
AI, like all of that. Like we're talking like that 5 years shrinking down to like 2 years to 18 months. I mean, that might even shrink down further to a year,
Yep.
6 months, which is terrifying almost, right? On the one hand, but on the other hand, it's kind of exciting because that means there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
If we can get comfortable with constant change, then it means the opportunities are limitless, and we can always lean into new opportunities and develop new skills and try new things. And I think that's exciting, though I know that scares a lot of people.
Yeah. Like we'll say all the hoopla about AI, right?
Hmm.
It's terrifying some people. And I understand, but I love it. Not just because it can help me do things a million times faster and way, way better than if left to my own devices, such as grammar and punctuation. Like
Hmm.
I hate that. But what I think it's also going to do is raise the value of the interpersonal skill set.
Absolutely.
Is right. Like if my value, there was a time when I was running work as a foreman and superintendent or I treated people like garbage.
Mm.
But I was technically sound. Like I knew the rules, I knew the processes, I knew the systems. So they would tolerate me. And I know a lot of people in different industries that they have a technical knowledge and that's their strength. But now that knowledge and information is so readily accessible, the value of those technical experts, knowledge wise, is diminishing. And so the value or the skill set of influence and connection is going to explode. And that's one of the reasons I'm so like enthralled, not just because of the impact it has on the quality of life of people. Like, how do I know? Because it helped me, but also others. And I see just the future. Just look at, if you use social media as a frame of reference, the volume of content that is getting put out there continues to exponentially grow. And it's not because there's exponentially more creators. It's because the creators are putting out more stuff because they have the tools, the technological tools and AI and whatever to produce more. But if they don't connect with human beings, it's just static. Like that's all there is to it. What do you
Just noise. Yeah.
It's just noise. That's it.
Yeah.
And so
And I completely agree. And so when we talk about all these human skills, the soft skills, the things that aren't easily replicable or automated, by AI or, disruptive technologies, one of those things is, the ability for us to influence, and the communication skills and the subtle nuances of that. That again, there's verbal communication, there's written communication, but there's the subtleties of nonverbal communication, facial expressions, tone of voice, all these sorts of things, right? And those are the types of things that the most effective, influential leaders of today and tomorrow are going to be the ones, not. It always helps to have technical expertise, don't get me wrong, but not just the ones with technical expertise, but the ones that have that kind of emotional intelligence, the EQ piece, and are able to convey things in such a way that they really can inspire and pull out the best of their people. And that, that's not an easy thing to do. And it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. It does to some people, but to most of us, we have to learn that. That's a skill that we can develop. We have to work at it. We have to learn it over time. So, I as I was talking at the outset of all of this, I do think there are some small tweaks that a lot of us can make. We're not naturally, charismatic. We're not naturally just drawing people in all the time to every last word we say. And so we may feel like, I'm not the great communicator, but there really are, for most of us, I think, relatively small things we can do to adjust what we're doing that will make and expand our influence. Can we talk about that a little bit? Any thoughts on that?
Oh my God, yes. And I'm not an academic. I'm not a good student in the, I'll say, traditional terms. But it's something that I got to observe on my whole career path, which has kind of been super broad. And I want to frame it this way so that the HCL community can say, it's easy let me think about that. When we think about communication, most people think about delivering a message, articulating a message, saying words.
Yeah.
That's only part of communication. And so when it comes to this idea of influence, so that we can tap into the discretionary effort that people have, like they don't have to give us everything they got, but when they like you and when they feel connected, they're going to give you more than the minimum.
Yeah.
The shift is this. It's not we're all good at saying words. It's not about eloquence in the way you frame an email. It's about how much you listen. So let's just assume that everybody's on a playing field at saying words and getting their ideas out. If you invest a fraction of the time that you have in taking public speaking courses, etc., into listening to other people, that is a small but gigantic shift. And so when we think about listening to other people, I'll give it like kind of grade. There's kindergarten level. So kindergarten level is where I started, right? Kindergarten level is me not making noise with my mouth while other people were making noise with their mouth, right? Like that, it will appear like I'm listening. But a lot of us, when we're doing that, we're just waiting for them to stop talking so we can give them our genius and wisdom. That's weak sauce, but it's a good start, right? Keep your mouth shut, let them talk. Then there's kind of like the middle school level of kind of being like, this isn't going to be nice, but when I hear the term active listening, I think of that in terms of middle school, high school understanding, because it's tactical, it's mechanical, right? Like I repeat back what you said. I nod my head. I say yes. I summarize. Like, come on, bro. Like that's middle school stuff, but you're better. Now, why? Because it demonstrates, or rather signals, that we're listening to the human being in front of us. Now, you want to be OG, like gangster level listening, where you can connect with other human beings and they see you and treat you as a trusted resource. You do all of the first two things, but you ask curious and interested questions about the human being, about what they think, about what they feel. When you start doing that, now like the world tightens up, and you've had this, John, where you talk to some people and you just felt like you're the center of the universe. And it's because they had all their focus in you, and the way they demonstrated that was by asking you questions about you, about what you think, about what you feel. That's the listening part.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that might sound a little woo-woo. And so like, again, depending on where you are on the scale, if you're lower on the scale, one metric, something that you can pay attention to start building the habit, because it's going to take a tremendous amount of practice, is airtime. How much airtime do you have compared to the person in front of you? And if the power dynamic is such that they report to you, or you have greater influence and responsibility within the organization, the more airtime they have than you, the better. If you have equal airtime, you're losing. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately the listening piece is so foundational, and I like how you highlight kind of the developmental stages of listening in connection with like our childhood development. I think that was a really good way of framing it, because yeah, I think a lot of times we really get overly simplistic with it, mechanical with it, and the bottom line is we really do just need to genuinely and authentically seek to understand, right? That's the bottom line. And how can I influence others if I don't really know where they're coming from, right?
Yep.
I can have the best argument in the world. I can have all the facts on my side, all of that, right? We both know that just because you have all the data and all the facts on your side, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because people, have bias, and people have emotion, and people have like their backgrounds and their perspective on the world are different. And like, you can have 10 people look at the same set of data, and draw different conclusions from it. And so,
Yes.
so ultimately you have to be able to translate all of that in a compelling way. And you're never going to be able to do that if you don't understand where people are coming from. And that sounds obvious, right? And we talk about active listening, and we talk about all these different things all the time. And I think intellectually we know that, yet it's so hard to do. Why is that so hard to do?
So I'll say this: if it's hard for you, that's just evidence that you're human, right? Like it's not easy because of the conditioning, right? I mean, back to the developmental stuff, right? I was kind of being silly, but when I think back, elementary school, middle school, high school, higher learning, higher ed, how much of the curriculum is focused on delivering a message versus how much of that curriculum is focused on receiving messages? I don't know the math, but I remember the courses I took. I didn't take a listening course,
Mm.
right? There was never an option for a listening or an influence or a relationship building course. It was all outward. How do I get it? So we've been conditioned to function this way. And then as leaders, it's compounded, right? Because we have this thinking that the leader has to have all the answers, that the leader knows the solution, knows the best way, can't be vulnerable, can't say, I don't know, can't ask for help. And so, what does that mean? That means when somebody comes to me with an issue, I give them the answer, I tell them what to do, which creates this dependency in our people because we don't spend any time to listen and talk because time is of the essence. We got KPIs and dashboards that we need to make sure are green and not red. And so what we end up doing is we sever the connection because all we're doing is talking at people, giving message, and we're disconnecting them from their agency because they don't have to access their critical thinking because we never ask them a damn question. So here's another practice like that you can do today. If you're a leader of an organization, a team, a group, whatever, and you feel like, man, why can't these people make a decision? How can I soar with the eagles when I'm surrounded by turkeys? I'm going to tell you, that's partly your fault. They can't make a decision because they've never had to, because you always give them the answer. And so the practice is this. The next time, and it's going to happen, you're going to have a lot of shots at practicing. The next time somebody comes to you with a problem, an issue, a situation, do not make a statement. Ask a question. Grit your teeth, keep them lips close together, let them finish what they're saying, and ask them a question. What do you think about that? What do you recommend? What have you tried? Just ask them a question, because the habit of not responding with direction and a statement is difficult. Like it's super, super ingrained. And so just think of, I don't care what, like, what do you think about the weather? Like, just be silly and ask a question instead of making a statement. And as you get those reps in, you'll start reconditioning yourself to ask questions. Then you can ask better questions, open-ended, curious, probing questions, so that your team member starts getting re-engaged with their agency and their critical thinking, so that they're bringing options to you and saying, hey, this, here's a couple things I'm considering. What do you think? And then we can keep that ball rolling. And now there's a connection, like that human influential connection, because you're helping them develop their problem solving capabilities. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, I really like that too. Being able to ask thoughtful questions, that's like a leadership superpower. That's like an influence superpower. And maybe it's counterintuitive because, like you said, we really are conditioned to just act like we know everything and that we have all the answers, which is so stupid.
Agreed.
It's really dumb because, one, everyone knows we don't have all the answers, and especially in this knowledge economy, we lead teams of experts who have expertise in all their specific areas that we can't possibly have all of their expertise, right? And so the idea that we would be able to possibly know the answer to all the questions that they would have is patently absurd. And everyone knows that. And everyone knows that, Joe Schmo or Jane Doe, leader, whatever, whoever, they know they don't know everything. And so for someone to come to me and for me to act like I know everything is just stupid. It erodes my credibility. And so when I can turn it around and just ask thoughtful questions, it like you said, it empowers them. It helps them to know that I trust them. And it also helps me better understand them, which will then allow me to message things better, communicate more effectively, and to have more influence in trying to create an environment of motivation where they can be self-motivated and intrinsically motivated in what they do. Yeah. Well, Jesse, this has just been a really fun conversation. I think we could go on and on, probably all day, because this is a lot of fun. But I also note the time. I need to let you go and get on with your busy day. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Oh my goodness. Okay. first, two places you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn. If you just search Jesse Depth Builder, you'll find me. I'm like hyper active on LinkedIn. I'm on all the other socials, but LinkedIn is kind of where I live. If you want to see like the fun stuff that we can all do together, go to depthbuilder.com. That's my website, and click all the buttons and, ask questions or whatever. Now, in terms of final word, what I'd love the human capital leadership audience to be thinking about and pondering is, how can I better serve the human in front of me? Ask yourself the question, and I'll give you a little cheat code. The only person that has that answer is the person in front of you.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for all of your insights, wisdom, all the great contributions you've made to this conversation today. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Jesse can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.